Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
It is impossible for a decerebrated individual to experience pain, pleasure, memory, dreams, or thought of any kind. This young man will be as unfeeling, as unthinking as the dead until the day he joins them.
I don't know whether I'm alive and dreaming or dead and remembering. How can you tell what's a dream and what's real when you can't even tell when you're awake and when you're asleep? Where am I?
I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or a dream. Deep down inside I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see that there's not much left of me. Nothing is real but pain now. Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh please God, wake me.
I just went ahead and chopped off everything. Oh God, please make them hear me. They won't listen. They won't hear me. You'll wake me up, I'll be like this for years. Hear me.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in the middle of the mitten in the Black Diamond Group mothership. In a green nutrient field, of course, with my good friend Craig Russell, the Hustle. He's America's favorite nug. No poem required, but the water is wet, the sky is blue. And Craig Russell, we love you. How you doing, Craig?
I am fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I am just off the charts. How do you say it? Fan-flippin-tastic?
Fan-flippin-tastic, yeah.
Fan-flippin-tastic. I just could not be happier right now.
It was a great Thanksgiving holiday weekend. You eat a lot of turkey? You a big turkey, you?
No, I don't eat turkey.
You don't? Really? What do you
Can't do the turkey thing. I got tricked into eating turkey as a kid.
Okay.
My mother told me it was chicken, and I told her from that day forward I would never eat turkey again. And I've held to that, actually.
Wow. What do you...
I had pulled pork instead.
Oh, right on. That traditional Thanksgiving meal of pulled pork.
Pulled pork.
Pulled pork. On a bun? Was it a sandwich? Or did you have brisket? Or what'd you...
It was just smoked. It was great.
Okay, right on.
My cousin AZ made it. So,
AZ. Well, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, so. There you go.
But you were able to be with friends and family and loved ones, and that was a good thing?
I was with everyone. I mean, we had a huge get-together. It was great. So big shout out to my cousin AZ and my entire family. Rosanna did such a nice job. All the kids. Everyone was there. It was terrific.
That is awesome. Hey, we have a special guest on the show, and this is like the specialist of special guests when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, that doesn't get any more special than this, and we've been announcing week in and week out that he was coming on the show. Craig, why don't you do the introduction?
Sitting right here on microphone 5 in the big WUPS studios, the one and only from Livingston County, the Honorable Dan Bain. Yay!
Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Todd. It's great to be back. I appreciate the invitation.
Judge Bain, happy post-Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you had the Pilgrim's pulled pork for Thanksgiving, Todd.
Now, we should make mention of the fact that Dan and Todd, you guys know each other from a long time. You guys have been friends for a long time, so you're giving him a little of the business, but you can give it to him because you've known him.
I've known him that long. And Todd, hard to believe, Todd, probably like 30 years now, maybe 32, something like that.
At least 30-plus years. You got it, absolutely. We actually attended a wedding together before we were lawyers.
Wow.
We weren't in the wedding together, but I mean,
But we were at the wedding.
we were at the wedding. I can't even recall who it was that got married, but I was there and you were there and Jack was there. The whole family was there.
I think it was you.
No.
Was that your wedding, Todd?
No, it was not. No, it was, wasn't it? It was at a lake somewhere. I just remember it was at a lake.
That was my man Richie Olson's wedding.
There you go.
That's exactly who that was.
Yeah,
That was
Richie Olson.
Yep, Richie Olson.
Right on.
Used to sell cars. He's now down in Florida.
Wow.
Yep.
Living large.
Living the dream, kind of like Todd. So we should probably let the Honorable Judge Bain explain, give a little backstory of him, not only how he knows you, but also how you got to become a judge. I'm sure you didn't just walk out of school one day and say, I want to be a judge, and they gave you the robe and you're on.
No, that's exactly what happened with the Honorable Judge Bain, actually. I mean, it's kind of unique, but it did happen that way.
Did not happen that way. It took like 25 years in the making to try to get this done, right, Todd?
No, that's true. That
It was
absolutely.
something I'd aspired to do for a long time. I practiced law for 25 years, did criminal work, and did a lot of various defense, or a lot of civil work, civil litigation, a lot of criminal defense. So I did that for 25 years. My dad, my brother, and then after doing that for a while, I always thought it was real important that the guys or ladies, as the case may be, that have practiced law, if you can go back and give back to the community a little bit and be a judge with a lot of experience, I think it helps the practitioners out. So time flies. I've been on the bench 2 years now. 2 years ago, September, the governor, I was lucky enough to be appointed by the governor to the seat, the 53rd District Court in Howell, and been there for the past 2 years. I'm loving it. Really having a ball doing it. I really enjoy the people that practice in front of me. They've taught me a lot. Hopefully, I've been able to teach them a few things. I really enjoy being able to mentor some of the younger lawyers as they come in and point out what they're doing right, point out what they're doing wrong, without being condescending, for lack of a better word, about it.
Or judgy.
Yeah, without being judgy about it.
I
I just try to take them aside and explain what I'm seeing, where they're doing it right, maybe where they're doing a little bit wrong. And what's funny, I had a few weeks ago, I had a young man in front of me, and it was set for a trial, and it was a young lawyer, so he came in, and I'm looking around, and the kid didn't have any witnesses. I'm like, this isn't going to go too well. So we called the case, and fortunately they got it worked out. So I was able to get a resolution fashioned for this young man. And, he was nervous. He got up and made a great opening statement and said it was just a bench trial. But he said had everything written out real nice. And the defendant got up and started talking. And he was an pro perf gentleman. And he started talking about the case a little bit. He goes, but, I'd really like to just get this worked out. I'm like, oh, that's music to my ears. Let's get a resolution fashioned. So after that happened, they got the case resolved, and I asked my court officer, I said, hey, go grab that young man that was just out here. I'd like to talk to him and back. So the court officer went and grabbed him. My court officer, a guy named Jim Quickly, just a great gentleman to work with, really helps out. Anyway, so Jim went out and grabbed this young man and brought him back. He said, hey, the judge wants to talk to you guys. I said, oh, man, am I in trouble or something? What'd I do? He's like, no, the judge just wants to talk to you. So I brought him back, and I was talking to him for a little bit. And it turned out it was the very first time, because of COVID, that the young lawyer had ever been in court.
Wow.
He had never been in a courtroom. So, he was nervous as could be. And so I started to point out to him, I go, hey, do you have any witnesses? He goes, no. I go, yeah, you got to have your witnesses show up. And he started to say something, and, well, Judge, I apologize so much. And I looked at him, I go, hey, you think I'm having this conversation because some old guy didn't have the same conversation with me about 30 years ago? He's like, really? I go, yeah, we all do this. This is part of practicing law. The old guys are supposed to teach the young, or old guys, older women are supposed to teach the young men and women, how it goes and where the mistakes are made. So just had a great conversation with the young man at that time, and, just taught him a few things. So I really, really enjoyed doing that. And I was, fortunate enough, you too, Todd, fortunate enough to be around a lot of guys that used to pull us aside and, tell us how to do it when we were getting started. And, that's how the practice law is done. That's been one of the things with COVID that's really been a detriment, Todd, I think, is that, younger lawyers are not sitting in court watching the older lawyers and watching how they interact with, clients, with their defendants, with the judges, all that type of stuff, because you learn a lot just sitting there watching the practitioner. You don't get that in a Zoom courtroom. You just do not get that.
Yeah, and, in the same note, it also affects the way us defense attorneys do our job. There are a lot of young prosecutors working in the various counties who are right out of law school. And, when you don't have an opportunity to speak to someone face to face, It's just not the same. I mean, obviously, we are all making it work, Judge Bain, as we have to. And I give credit to all the courts, the administrators, the judges, their staffs, the prosecutors' offices. I mean, everybody's been doing just a great job. At first, I mean, we all had to work out the kinks, but you know, you and I mean, obviously, we've known each other for decades and decades. And, you know, you're 6'3", about 220, very handsome. I'm 6. I mean, I look like a Hollywood star myself here. And when you can't see people face to face, come on, Craig. What
Todd, you got me a lot taller and a lot thinner than I really am. But
I mean, you know, you're like Hollywood, and I'm your sidekick. But no, it's true though. When you can't see people face to face and just use everything that you were born with, your personality. I mean, there's so much that goes into meeting somebody face to face for the first time, negotiating, being in court, being in front of a judge. It's just there's something that's taken away when you're doing it on a little TV screen or a little computer screen. I mean, it works and it has worked, but I like to advocate in person, and I look forward to getting back in person there, Judge.
No, I couldn't agree with you more on, you know, really all those points. I mean, since the pandemic and everything, obviously went to a lot of Zoom. The state court administrator's office, the Supreme Court state mandated that we do so in a lot of cases. But slowly those restrictions were lifted, so we were able to get back somewhat to normal.
Is your court open?
Yeah, we're open. We've been open.
Okay.
But what we've done is, first off, you know, hats off. We have a court administrator in the district court. Marissa Lutz is our court administrator, and Marissa started probably, I don't know, 6 months after I started. And she's just been incredible. She came from the Ann Arbor courts, a very, very busy system, and then I was hired in Livingston again about 6 months after I started. And she was working for like a month, maybe two, and then COVID hit. And she just had so many contacts and knew so many people. And we just, because of her, we never missed a beat. I mean, she was in with Scale, that's the state court administrator's office. She knew people up in there. She just had the plans right in place, and we just hit the ground running, never really missed a beat because of Marissa Lutz. She just did an incredible job for all of us, just kept the various courtrooms going and kept all the staff together and everybody on the same page. But anyways, back to what we were doing. We're back to being, we still do the majority. Each judge runs their courtroom a little bit differently, but for the majority of the cases, all our civil stuff we're still doing by Zoom. Okay, and then the criminals, all our criminal stuff for pretrials or sentencings, you know, obviously preliminary exam, district court level preliminary exam of the trials and jury trials, we've been doing those live. We've been having people come in live.
My question is for you, Judge Bain, is for the courts up here in central to northern Michigan, some of them are still shut down. Isabella County shut down for the most part. Is that an individual court-to-court thing at this point in time? I mean,
yeah, I think each court's doing it based on what
okay, so it's up to that local court administrator and the chief judge and the staff
and the counties. I mean, the directive from Scale or from the state, again, from the Supreme Court, state court administrator's offices really changed. So each court's kind of making their own call as to how they're operating.
It's still very convenient to utilize Zoom in most cases. It's helpful for a lot of my clients. I mean, just like yourself, Judge Bain, you represented a lot of the blue-collar industry individuals, as I do, and a lot of those men, you know, they're working. They're downstate. They're working construction, the lines, and it's very convenient for the few of them who happen to make some poor choices and have to appear in court to just grab their phone, hop in the truck, take the hard hat off, and appear in front of court with myself on my end. So I hope that continues to some extent in the future.
Yeah, no, we try to accommodate people in those situations when they're from a long ways away or, you know, or we're working. I mean, I really try to be accommodating for people that have a good job or in a construction site and whatnot. But as you know, Todd, and, you know, in my business, we got to do what we got to do, right? I got a 24-year-old kid that's just not getting it. I can't Zoom his attention. He's got to be standing there so we can try to get him back on track. It just does not work by Zoom. I mean,
you used a phrase last time you were on the show. What was that phrase, Craig? The Honorable Judge Bain used?
Yeah, sometimes you got to give everybody a little adjustment or a little tune-up.
Yeah,
that was it, an adjustment or a tune-up. Yeah,
and I don't like doing that, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
We were talking with the Honorable Dan Bain, judge from Livingston County. We have to take a break on the Todd L11 Law Show.
Come on, Craig.
Back.
Wait, whose name's on the show, Craig or Todd? We're not taking any breaks today.
You know who's running the controls over here?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, that's right. We better take a break. We'll be right back.
It is impossible for a decerebrated individual to experience pain, pleasure, memory, dreams, or thought of any kind. This young man will be as unfeeling, as unthinking as the dead until the day he joins them.
I don't know whether I'm alive and dreaming or dead and remembering. How can you tell what's a dream and what's real when you can't even tell when you're awake and when you're asleep? Where am
I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see that there's not much left of me. Nothing is real but pain now. Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh please God, wake me.
I just went ahead and chopped off everything. Oh God, please make them hear me. They won't listen. They won't hear me. Oh, wake me up, I'll be like this for years. Hear me.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group mothership with Craig Russell, the Muscle, and the Honorable Dan Bain from the Livingston County court system right there in Howell. Judge Bain, once again, thank you for taking the time on this Thanksgiving holiday weekend to be with us in studio. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, Todd. I can't get in a lot of places, so I'll take the invitation.
There you go. And we started off the show with one of Judge Bain's favorites. We actually broke down and played Metallica.
Can't go wrong with one, can you, Big Todd?
Man, I love Metallica. All-time favorite group, number one. We always talk about the top groups, Judge Bain, and Metallica is at the top of my list. And I have been waiting to play them for years. I just needed a good reason to do so, and you coming back on the show was the reason.
I had an excellent road trip one time to RFK Stadium, where a bunch of me and my crew from Michigan State drove out there. A buddy was living out there to watch Metallica. They were opening up for Guns N' Roses.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
I'm dating myself, man, but that was a great show.
Now, you know, one of the members of Metallica, one of the former members of Metallica, is from Michigan.
I did not know
Jason
that.
Newsted, who used to play, was from around the Kalamazoo area.
Oh, really?
Now, he's been with them, and I think he has left the band at this point, but he was with them for a good 10, 15 years, I think, and don't hold me to this. I thought he was the drummer. Now, I could be wrong, but I know...
Jason Newsted?
Jason Newsted. He's from Gull.
You're thinking of Red Hot Chili Peppers.
No. Jason Newsted was... Red Hot Chili Peppers is Anthony Kiedis. He's from Grand Rapids.
Right, but Jason wasn't a drummer.
Well, I might have been the drummer. I just know Jason Newsted is from the Kalamazoo area, Gull Lake, and he was in Metallica, but he might not be the drummer. He could have been the bass player. I'm not sure, but I know he's not with the band anymore. But so there's a Michigan tie.
Little local tie.
Yeah,
a lot of great musicians out of Michigan.
Tons.
Yeah,
tons.
Fortunate in that regard.
Tons. Have you heard Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah,
that band. That's they're from the Frankenmuth area.
Actually, I knew that.
Yeah, did you know that? Yeah, they're actually Todd. You've heard Greta Van Fleet, correct?
Of course.
Yeah, they're going to be opening up. They're doing a world tour, and they're opening up in, I want to say in Kalamazoo in March, and then they're going to play in Saginaw and Flint. They're playing Michigan shows, Grand Rapids, Detroit, and then they're going all over the country, and then they're going to Germany and stuff like that. They're the new local rock darlings, but Pop Evil's from here. Obviously Kid Rock and Eminem. I mean, there's a lot of good music comes out of this state.
Oh, absolutely. Bob Seeger.
Yes, Bob Seeger, right down the road from you.
That was my first concert ever, Bob Seeger.
Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
Pine Knob.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the night before I started 6th grade. I'll never forget.
Wow. I didn't realize Bob Seger was touring in the 90s like that. No, I'm trying.
I'm talking about big hair.
I think that must have been 78,
now, does Judge Bain know Big Hair, Todd?
He does not know Big Hair.
So Todd has a friend named Big Hair. Todd and Big Hair is a spitting image of Bob Seger. We really thought that Big Hair could probably walk around a festival looking like Bob Seger, and with some handlers with him and stuff, could pull it off. It's really a good.
You know, it's funny. I guess he's just a class act, a gentleman to everybody. Yes. That's what I've always heard. But there's a story rolling, right here around Howell and whatnot, that he was having lunch at the Cracker Barrel, the one in Brighton there, a couple of years ago. And there's a waitress, waiting on this guy. And at some point, the waitress says to him, "God, did anybody ever tell you really look like Bob Seger?" And he just started laughing. He said, "I am Bob Seger," and could not have been nicer to the lady.
I always wish I looked like somebody somebody famous? Because I would always do I get that a lot. I'd play it like I'm not really, but I am.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Right.
But I mean,
Wait, you're famous. What are you talking about? You're Craig Russell.
Whatever.
You have a T-shirt with your face on it, for goodness sakes.
And America's
favorite nug.
That's correct, but still.
I know we have a judge on the show, but you still are America's favorite nug, respectfully.
We've only sold about 30 of
those.
those shirts, by the way. We need to step that up a little bit.
Hey, Judge Bain, for those that are just tuning in for the first time, all 20 of you, plus the Amish, my good Amish friends, the Honorable Judge Bain is joining us in the mothership, and we've been close friends for decades. Can you talk a little bit about the court in which the bench in which you sit and the court itself?
Yeah, I mean, I sit in the 53rd District Court, which serves Livingston County. We're a county-wide court because our population here is, I guess, about 200,000. So we don't have separate districts. We just have, the 53rd District Court in our county. And then my benchmate would be the Honorable Shauna Murphy. Judge Murphy's been there. She's been there about a year longer than me. So she was appointed about 3 years ago, and I'm just honored to serve with her. It's just great to be able to. She's the brains of the operation. I readily admit that, and they walk next door all the time to bounce things off of her, and it's just great to have her. So Todd, as you know, District Court, we do all the misdemeanors, everything up to a year in jail, and we handle the felony matters through the preliminary exam stage, decide whether or not we're going to bind them over to the circuit court, and then all the civil matters up to $25,000. Traffic tickets. In district courts, as you know, we handle everything. I forget what the stat was. I heard recently it came out of the Supreme Court, but I think the district courts in Michigan handle like 1 million cases a year or something.
Wow.
Combined. I mean, everything gets kind of weeded out from us, and it might even be higher than that. But it's an astronomical figure, the number of cases that not our court, all the district courts, but all of them combined handle just a tremendous amount of cases.
So now, when you're watching like a TV show like Law and Order or something, they don't usually. Your district courts aren't usually what you're seeing. The Supreme Court, you're seeing.
Law and Order is tough because I say tough. I think they call what would be the Circuit Court in Michigan. I think they call that the Supreme Court in New York. Okay, but that would generally be that would be a court of general jurisdiction. That's the main trial court.
Right. Whereas they're handling, obviously it's a TV show, but murders and stuff like that. You're handling. I don't want to say the grunt work, but you're doing the backbone. You guys are like the meat and potatoes.
You're calling exactly what it is. It's the grunt work. That's exactly what it is.
The meat and potatoes of the judicial system.
I've
never been able to watch law shows on TV, guys.
No,
I can't do it.
I can't either.
I can't do it. I just haven't been able to do that. People always say, "Hey, have you seen this and that and the other thing?" And I go, "You know what? Nah, not really. I watch Jerry Springer reruns. I mean, come on now. I mean, have you ever listened to this show? You think I watch the law shows? Absolutely. Hey, Judge Bain, I have a question for you. We talk about this week in and week out, Craig and I do. But now that you're a judge after practicing law for a number of decades, and your family, John Bain, we love John, and your brother Jeff's out there, and Jack, great lawyer himself. He's my mentor. Actually, your father was my mentor. But there has not been a district court and or circuit court that I've appeared in whereby I've had a client say this to me, Todd, oh man, I don't want to appear in front of that judge. He or she, got caught drinking and driving and is on probation in another court for, drinking and driving at the local bar. I hear that. I've heard that. Or the judge lost a family member to somebody that was drinking and driving. Would you just confirm and knock that myth out? When you were in private practice, did you hear that same thing?
Yeah, I heard. We heard that a lot about some certain judges that me and you.
Yeah, it's just not true. Maybe it's true in one case, but it's just not across the board true.
Yeah, it definitely bad things definitely happen, but for the most part, those rumors are generally not true. Although,
I always would hear that. Or you hear, how about this one judge? That judge, when he sees my last name, I'm in trouble. He doesn't like me. Look, judges are human. And they're emotional, and we're all emotional as humans. And there are judges out there. Look, just like there's good and bad in everything, but for the most part, judges,
we handle so many cases. Todd.
Exactly.
You see, if you see the same guy coming back, I got a pretty good memory, so I can remember. But I'm going to remember the face more so than the name until a file is called, then I can put two and two together. But just don't be a frequent flyer, as we call you. You're not going to have a problem. But when we start remembering your name and you just keep coming back and coming back and coming back, then obviously you're going to have an issue.
Well, what my point is, the guidelines are going to get you at that point, and you know the system is going to get you, but it's not necessarily the judge. The judge is just sitting at the bench doing his or her job based on a number of factors. You know, negotiations between the prosecutor who represent the people of the state of Michigan and or a city attorney. I mean, look, the judge, you have broad discretion. I mean, if you know the guidelines are 0 to a year in the county. You know, I mean, you've got a 0 to a year to play with.
Right.
But
I mean, with us, as you know, this district courts, I mean, we don't really have sentencing guidelines. We'll have probation.
Oh, right.
Court.
Good. I mean, I'm referring to circuit court.
We'll just have, judgment calls. I mean,
yeah.
I don't order a pre-sentence investigation on every single case because I burden our probation department with that on, everything. But just try to, look at the person's record, listen to what their attorney's got to say, and make the call from the bench in a lot of instances. But, every case, you just look at every case differently, and you got to look at every case individually and see what the facts and circumstances are. If you start falling into a situation where everything's a policy case, I do this on this case and I do this on that case, then you don't need a judge because you choose the computer. So I'm a real big advocate of, the judge has to look at each case on an individual basis, not just to have a policy on, you do this for your second drunk driving all the time, every time, or whatever the case may be. You got to see what effort the people are putting into getting themselves back on track, or what effort they're not. And, we'll put as much effort.
But back when you were in private practice, Judge, didn't you have clients that would say to you when you were back in private practice all those years, oh man, this judge just hates me when he or she sees me, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, no, we absolutely used to hear that all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. I mean,
that's with me, that's just not the case.
I don't play it like that. Exactly.
And you wouldn't have become I don't think anyone would have appointed you to being a judge, including the governor, if they thought that was how you were going to run your court. Not happening.
Exactly. I mean, I really tried to pride myself when I was trying to get this job as being somebody that was going to look at everything objectively and look at each case individually and, be respectful to everybody all the time. And I really try to go out of my way to always be respectful. Look, at every now and then you're going to lose it with a certain person, but that guy, that person may have it coming a little bit. But I mean, I really always try to be respectful. I mean, they had a real serious case, and I don't want to talk about too much, but in front of me the other day, I was just the arraigning judge, super serious situation for Livingston County, and people are saying, oh boy, you were sure nice to that guy. Well, I just want the record to be clear that his rights were protected, so there's no glitch in the future. Anybody says, well, the judge was doing something wrong on that day, and now it's going to taint the whole thing. So just got to try to be polite, respectful of everybody. In the district court, I am generally the first touch somebody has with the criminal justice system. Because, again, we're the working man's court, or what would you call us before the
well, I was trying to be polite about it, but the backbone of the judicial system. Yeah, but the grunt. You were the guy. You guys do the grunt work.
And you said that correctly. We're the grunt. So everything starts out with us. So if a person comes in for their very first traffic ticket, they're going to see someone in the district court. And even, as long as you're respectful and you treat them right, you listen to them, you hear them out, let them have their day in court. That's the most important thing. They might end up leaving, paying a fine or something, but at least they're walking out the door and they're saying, the guy fined me, but he or she was nice about it. And it leaves
fair about it.
It leaves a better taste in their mouth when they're, paying their tax bill in December. And
you hope. That's the hope. That's all you can. Then that's all you can do is hope for that.
Right. And some people are going to be disgruntled no matter what.
Sure.
Doesn't make any difference.
Yep.
Hey, Craig. Judge Bain, I'm being respectful because he is a judge and I respect the judiciary, but I call him Big Daddy Danny Bain or Dan or Danny because he's one of my best friends. But I'm being respectful here, of course, as I always am. But Dan was just one of the best defense attorneys you could ever have represent you. I mean, in any county in the state of Michigan, and Livingston County is so lucky. And I'm not just saying this because he's sitting right in front of me, and I love the guy. But Livingston County, the citizens, and those who come into Livingston County are so lucky to have Judge Dan Bain. It's my loss because as a defense attorney, Dan and I used to work on cases together as defense attorneys. I used to refer Dan clients down to his law firm, Bain & Bain, which is still downstate. I mean, great law firm.
You got Big John now, though, so you're good.
John Bain, your brother, is one of the best attorneys, and I still refer cases down to John. But Dan, you and I used to work on cases together, co-defendants and whatnot. And Jack, your father, who was my mentor, I mean, I can't say enough about Jack, who, pretty much took me under his wing when I was a newly minted lawyer, back in the early 90s. And he'd say, Todd, come here, like John Wayne to me. Todd, come here. Why'd you get over here, Todd? Let me introduce you. Todd, come here. Let me introduce you to somebody. And I mean, your dad was just great, so I'll never forget that. But anyhow, again, I mean, you're just an outstanding judge. But boy, man, we had some fun practicing law together.
Oh, no, we absolutely did. And I miss, sometimes being on that other side. But I really do enjoy sitting on the bench, watch what's going on, try to be the guy that's going to, make sure the right thing happens. As you know, Todd, when you're walking into a courtroom, more so than anything, you really want some predictability from the judge for the lawyers. And I just try to be pretty predictable. I try to be very approachable for the lawyers that they want to, talk to me, both approach the bench or, coming back or whatever. I try to be real open and just have, open dialogue so we can get the cases resolved for people or, have our trials if we have to.
So speaking of
consistency is important as a defense attorney when you practice in front of a judiciary, folks. It's important to know and have an idea, albeit as Judge Bain said, and he's great at this, and he takes a case by case basis, which is important for a judge to do, and you want a judge to take it case by case. You don't want everything just stamped because that's just not equal justice. But you can get a feel for what the judge, the local prosecutor, and the probation department is going to do, especially the judge, and that does help as a defense attorney because when you meet with a client, you want to make sure that you provide proper expectations as to what the outcome may or may not be. And so it does help if you practice in that county. And one thing that I just disagree with, here's another myth out there. Oh, the attorney, he plays golf with the judge. We want an attorney from outside the county. Look, folks, you want an attorney who knows the habits and the flow and can predict potentially what the outcome of that case can be. And there's no harm in it that your lawyer, who's a local member of the local bar, is active and participates and is friends with the prosecutors and judges and court officers and members of the staff. That's helpful. You catch more bees with honey. It's not the other way around, folks. So if I get a case, Judge Bain, from Muskegon, I don't practice in Muskegon. I won't even take the case. I won't even take a case in Saginaw. I don't practice in Saginaw. So my point is, there is something to be said for familiarity.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And that, again, that's one of the things that I'm, quite honestly seeing with Zoom is that, you get a lot of attorneys coming from a long ways away that, to be honest, they're great at advertising, but they're not really servicing their clients that much. They get the case, but then they get into a county, they don't know anybody. I'm not a big, hometown type of guy or anything like that. I like to see different attorneys from different jurisdictions. As you know, I was kind of all over the place. But I agree with you, Todd. I didn't go out of my bailiwick too much because I didn't think my clients were being as well served by, me heading up to, Clare or someplace. You're in Clare all the time, so it's easy for you.
All the time.
But you know what I'm saying. But
absolutely.
I'd call you. I'd say, Todd, you're in Clare all the time.
All the time.
Go take care of this. I just wouldn't go up there myself. I didn't take cases everywhere. And, I was pretty fortunate. I was busy in my local area, so I didn't need to do the, statewide thing. But I do see, in some areas I've seen, and I guess the quality of practice, it's become concerning to me, because I'm old school. I like to I believe, again, in the, personal appearance, especially on the criminal stuff. Zoom's great for civil stuff, and in the most part, it works fine. But in criminal stuff, you got to have all the bodies in the courtroom, and you got to be, have those personal relationships, like you're saying, the defense attorneys know the prosecutors and vice versa, because you build up that rapport, you build up that trust. And, in this game, the only thing that a lawyer has is his or her credibility. And when that credibility is shot with the judge or prosecutor, that's it. It's very difficult to get back. So, as you know, I went to great lengths, as you do, to always be known in the practice as being a straight shooter. I never wanted to see anybody get burned. Advocate for my clients as best I could under the circumstances, but, wouldn't pull any shenanigans, just wasn't doing anything that wasn't above board.
That's the Honorable Dan Bain from Livingston County District Court 53. We have got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, but when we come back more with the Honorable Big Daddy Danny Bain, I can call him that, I guess, and Todd will come back.
It is impossible for a decerebrated individual to experience pain, pleasure, memory, dreams, or thought of any kind. This young man will be as unfeeling, as unthinking as the dead until the day he joins them.
don't know whether I'm alive and dreaming or dead and remembering. How can you tell what's a dream and what's real when you can't even tell when you're awake and when you're asleep? Where am
I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see that there's not much left of me. Nothing is real but pain now. Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh please God, wake me.
I just went ahead and chopped off everything. Oh God, please make them hear me. They won't listen. They won't hear me. Wake me up, I'll be like this for years. Hear me.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Is this the first time we've ever played Metallica on the show, Todd?
Yeah, this is the first time, not the
in
last
like 12
time.
years. 12 years Todd's been doing this.
I feel
First
honored.
time.
My request was honored.
That's right. Big Daddy Danny Bain, Judge Dan Bain from District Court, 53rd District Court in Livingston County, is our special guest in the show, and he requested Metallica. So, Todd, we broke out one. Big hit for Metallica from the late 80s. And
Hey, Danny, the Honorable Judge Bain, I keep slipping because he's one of my best friends, but, Judge Bain mentioned Pine Knob earlier on the show, and it's now DTE. Is it still DTE Music Theater?
Yep.
Is it? Okay.
DTE Energy Music Theater.
I saw Metallica back in the day at when it was, I think, Pine Knob still. Can't recall. And I had seats under the pavilion. And right up front, I just remember that it had rained and everybody was tearing up the lawn and just chucking it, all
haven't
over
lived
the place.
if you haven't slid down the lawn there at Pine Knob in the rain.
Yeah, but people were tearing it up and throwing it, and then Lars had to stop on stage and say something about it because people were just getting destroyed. It was pretty dangerous, to be honest with you, but I was just into Metallica. I didn't really care at that point.
I don't think they play those kind of venues anymore. I think if the place doesn't have 50 or 60,000 seats, they're probably not touching it.
I can't recall if it was Metallica or Linkin Park, or did Linkin Park open for Metallica. In any event, let's not take up all the time here because we got the Honorable, Judge Danny Bain here in the studio. And during break, we were talking about some of the funny things that happen on Zoom. And as a judge, I mean, you see it all the time. So, Judge Bain, can you talk about some of the stories and some of the things that happen with Zoom?
I've had a few. I mean, I could do a reality show on Zoom. Should have been writing them all down. I haven't. I'll do a couple of them from memory. But the classic one we had, and this was right when Zoom first started, and so the screen comes on, and we don't get a big screen in the TV set. So I was sitting down. I called this case, and it was an older gentleman, and I think it was just a drunk driving. And so I'm, looking down at the file, calling the case. And as I'm calling the case, the prosecutor, the guy had sat down in the federal prosecutor's office, Michael Taylor, he was out here and he went down to work for the feds now in the U.S. Attorney's office. Good guy. But anyways, so Michael's holding up the file kind of over his eyes. He's going, Judge, and shaking his head. And I look up on the screen, right? And here's the guy. He's got no pants on. None. None. No boxers, no nothing, right?
Oh.
Right? So I look up and I go, oh, you can imagine what I'm thinking to myself. Oh, shoot, right? Well, then my court reporter, our court reporter, Tammy, my boss, Tammy Morris, she's sitting there looking at her little computer screen and she kind of looks at it and thinks she sees what she sees. And then she looks up on the big screen and she goes, oh, Judge, oh, my God, right? So I'm looking up. I'm like, so it's this older gentleman. He put on a nice shirt and tie, and he was waiting for his Zoom hearing. It probably took a little bit, and he fell asleep on the couch. So now he's back asleep on his couch. He's got his phone on the coffee table. The angle was not good at all, right? And I'm sitting there going, sir, sir, and if you start
you're trying to wake him up.
I'm trying to wake him up, and if you start raising hell on Zoom and yelling it makes it go south even worse. So we just got to deal with it. I'm trying to get through it. I'm like, sir. So now he's slowly coming alive. I'm like, sir. sir, you got to adjust that camera angle if you don't mind for me, please, sir.
Wow.
Because he had the phone on the coffee table. His lawyer's red as a beet, embarrassed, and and we ended up, doing a plea and getting through it and try not to make too big of a deal out of it. But I mean, it was just hysterical.
Is it okay to say no pun intended, or is that disrespectful?
Yeah, no, but
is that okay?
Well, then
we are a show, right?
Yeah, no pun intended. And
no pun intended.
But then after that, so we get all done with that, and the guy's off the screen, and there was another court officer in the time, Jim Borseth. Jim since retired, but Jim looks, he goes, Judge, I think we need to start a small claims action against that gentleman. Oh, yeah. So it just goes on and on. Then I had another one a few weeks ago. I walked out, and there was a guy in there, and he was just being rude to Tammy. And that's something I just don't tolerate. He was just being really rude and belligerent to her as we were coming out. So I called this guy's case, and I could see he had a T-shirt on. And I could see the T-shirt didn't say anything, too good that you shouldn't be wearing that particular shirt in court. So I'm like, sir, what's that T-shirt say? So, man, I don't got to tell you what my T-shirt says. I'm like, yeah, you're in court. I'm the judge. You kind of do. So just come on, man, humor me. I'm like, come on, humor me. Point that camera down. What's that T-shirt say? And the guy looks down, and he immediately realizes he had screwed up. And the T-shirt says, I ain't thinking straight. Oh, wow. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't.
I had a guy was being rude. I'm like, you aren't thinking straight. I'll see you live next week. Goodbye, But, I mean, it just...
No, well, I was going to ask a question, though, but that's something you can, nowadays, you could be doing a Zoom thing, and you could tell somebody, nope, no Zoom thing, you need to come in.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
We can. I mean, I think this, too, was at the time when we were going back to live at that point. Again, he was just being rude. I'll accommodate you on Zoom if I can, but
sure.
He was just being a smart aleck, so if he wants to play that game, I'll accommodate you if that's how you want to go.
Okay, Todd, I'm sorry.
Well, I'll say one thing that, Zoom has... It's been interesting, but I have to tell my clients, right off the bat, look, when we're Zooming, depending upon where you are Zooming from, make sure there are no beer bottles, wine bottles, bongs. I mean, even though it's legal. And you have to have these conversations with people because they're Zooming from their kitchens, and then they're holding their phones in their hand and they're walking around their apartments or their house. And I'm thinking to myself, well, with some of my clients, I've learned. At first, they were walking around Judge Bain all over the place, and I was thinking, oh, gosh,
what's like a Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, I mean, just horrible. And I'm thinking, okay, now I tell them, look, stay in one place, have nothing in the background, no T-shirts that say Budweiser or like a friend with weed is a friend indeed on it, nothing like that. Just come to court, look respectful, stay put, don't move the phone. Turn up the volume and be respectful. So, but it's been really interesting. And one thing that really pees me off and is seeing attorneys on Zoom who are not wearing, for the men, not wearing ties and coats and suit coats. I mean, you're still a lawyer out there, and you're supposed to be respectful. And I just find it, and you're a judge, just disrespectful. When I go to court, I wear a suit and tie. It doesn't matter if I'm Zooming or in person. You have to look the way you're supposed to look and appear. Yeah, well, no, it's just what you're supposed to be doing as an attorney. You're supposed to be respectful to the judiciary in the process.
Right. No, and I've had a few guys that continually kind of, don't have everything put together. And I'll just nicely say to them, hey, put the rest of your uniform on. When they don't got their tie or whatever. I mean, we all got to, it's just part of the decorum. And we got to have some decorum in court. You have to have it. We got to keep up some of the traditions and that decorum. And,
how about
keep it
Judge
going.
Andrews and Oakland Circuit Court? Sorry to interrupt you, Judge Bain. How about Judge Andrews? Used to be in Oakland Circuit Court, 1200 North Telegraph. You show up and you're not looking, dressed to the T, he'd send you home.
How about the judge before that, older than that, Judge Templin, if you didn't have on a white shirt? If you showed up with a blue shirt, he'd send the attorneys home. Now, I think he was gone by the time I started practicing, but I remember my dad and my brother both telling stories about Templin. You had to have on a white shirt. Otherwise, you were going home. Yeah, it was very.
Where would those guys be nowadays?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they'd be rolling over.
Yeah.
No, there were some judges back in the day.
Crazy.
When you and I started practicing law in the early '90s, there were judges that would just destroy not only the attorneys but the clients who are with the attorneys. And look, that is wrong on every level. That's not a judge's, I'm saying, I know you're a judge, but that's not a judge's job to sit there and attack the attorney or the client, like personally.
Right. You're correct. I got another Zoom one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bonds and all that. So we were doing a landlord-tenant hearing one day, and the person's not showing up. XYZ Management versus Joe Jones or whatever it was. And so we're waiting for the defendant to appear. But so his camera's on, but he or she's not there. But I could see there was a bong and a bunch of coke and a
man,
a bunch of weed and 200 burnt cigarette butts, and we're waiting and
wonder
waiting
what the strain was.
So I don't know, but we finally call the case and say, well, it's apparent why Mr. Jones is not paying his rent, but he's got plenty of money for dope and cigarettes, so we're going to issue a default judgment on this, and we're all done.
Boy,
wow! I mean, it was just comical.
Back in the day, you didn't show up; you just got a default judgment because you didn't show up. There was no prejudice involved. But these people aren't helping themselves.
No, they're not. And you know what? You can't stick your head in the sand when you get a court issue going on. Show up. The worst thing you can do is avoid it. You dig yourself a deeper hole. If you show up and face the music, even though the band's playing loud, as my dad used to say, and you're dealing with it, we respect you for coming to court and dealing with it. Don't start. Most of people's problems are caused by their inattentiveness to things. Come in and just take care of your business. If you're taking care of your business,
or at least trying to.
Trouble. We're trying to at least.
Yeah,
we're going to try to accommodate you. Just don't blow it off. That's that's how it snowballs on you, especially in the driver's license world, right, Todd?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly where it goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, things will spiral pretty quick, and before you know it, you're stuck in that whirlpool and just can't get out.
No,
sounds like my commercial. Are you stuck in the system and can't get out?
That's right.
There you go.
How about that? So I got a question for you, Judge Bain. So you've been appointed by the governor.
Correct.
Now, do you have to run for re-election at some point?
So how it works if you're appointed to do a judgeship is that you're appointed and you serve out your predecessor's term. So
okay.
I replaced Teresa Brennan, Judge Teresa Brennan, and there was a lot of things that went on with that, but I was fortunate enough to be in a position to get that position. So when I was appointed, then there was the remainder of her term was just that year, actually, right? So I served out that year, and you have to run in the next available election for the remainder of the term.
Okay.
Well, I was fortunate enough that when that term that I was appointed for ran out, the next term was a full term. So I ran last year in 2020, and then I won a 6-year term.
Okay, I thought it was 6 years.
I won an unopposed landslide election. So
wow, that's the best one today.
I was real lucky. I was real pleased. Nobody ran against me, and I guess that showed a little bit about that we were kind of doing it right. The changes we had made. Again, when I got to the court, Judge Murphy had been there before me, and she had made a lot of changes, and when I came in there, it was already pretty, smooth.
You were able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, then
exactly.
Judge Murphy had already
and
had
that
smooth
is
out.
usually the case. If something needs to be changed, that's when somebody steps up and goes, "I want to make a change." It's the same thing. You know why people call radio stations to request songs? Because you're not playing the song that they want to hear. If you play the songs that they want to hear, nobody calls and requests because you're doing your job.
Right.
It's only when you're not doing what they're expecting you to do that they call up and they want to make a request to do that. It's the same kind of thing I would imagine with anything, with a sheriff, with a judge, with a president, whoever.
Exactly. No,
Craig, that was a brilliant comparison there, the radio business to the running a courtroom. I mean, I never thought of the analogy before. It was fantastic.
Every once in a while, man.
I kind of feel like you and I are Peyton and Eli, the two, which my favorite show on TV right now, Judge Bain.
Do you watch that, Judge Bain? Do you watch Peyton and Eli?
Oh no, but I just heard about that they got they're on Monday nights.
Yeah,
right?
they do that.
I just heard about that today because I forget.
Best thing I've ever seen, other than Breaking Bad, Judge Bain. It's the best thing I've ever seen on TV.
Best thing on TV is Yellowstone, man. That's a show.
Oh, that's a good show.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that, but Peyton and Eli though are just it's incredible.
Well, those guys, first place, those guys have won multiple Super Bowls and MVPs, so they know what they're talking about, and then they have the insides. It's kind of like how Tony Romo when he's calling a game, he can actually predict what the play is going to be before it happens. Those two guys, they can tell you exactly why things happen, and they can tell you what those guys were eating for lunch because of it and everything. They're really
they
good.
got great insight. And Peyton Manning, I've got a lot of respect for him. I mean, obviously, he was just an incredible player and always just a consummate gentleman.
Yep.
And then he does those ads with Brad Paisley. I guess all the different commercials, and he just pokes fun at himself, and they're really funny. He just does a great job.
And he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Exactly.
Oh,
yes.
man.
But be a good guy, and that's what'll happen to you.
You know what we should do, Craig? Some of the upcoming future shows, and we don't have time to get to this right now with Judge Bain, but it'd be great to have the judge come back on the show, answer some emails. We could set it up a couple weeks ahead of time if you have any emails for Judge Bain. Send an email to blah, 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 and then we can do an entire show, let the general public, the constituencies, and other people around the country, because this is a podcast downloaded for whatever reason, Judge Bain in 55 countries and growing. It's insane. 30,000 downloads.
I'll answer what I can. I was trying to get the higher authority to come in with us to do the show today, because as you know, Todd, we got a little short notice on this one, and I was trying to see if Judge Hattie, our circuit judge here, could
there you go, Michael Hattie.
Yeah,
there you go.
And he'd love to do it. He just couldn't make it tonight, so I'll try to drag him in here.
Judge Hattie's one of my favorite
Two judges better than one.
Yeah, Judge, he's a good guy. He's one of my mentors, and just teaches you how to do it right, teaches you how to be nice, to be respectful of people. Got to take care of your business, but we got to take care of our business and try to do it in a nice way.
Look at this law show of ours, Todd, getting actually respectful, and we're actually getting somewhere with judges and things.
Yeah,
What's up with that? What's up with that?
What's up with that? Is that a song?
We got to give everybody entertainment when driving home from up north on the weekends on that Sunday morning. That's
right.
How'd you do hunting this year, by the way?
That's right.
How'd you hunt?
I've hunted quite a bit. I was out I went out to South Dakota for a week, so we keeping the skies safe out there, getting the pheasants and a lot of ducks and watching the dogs. We had a ball out there. I haven't gotten a deer yet. Been hunting right here locally in Livingston County. I got a couple spots. I've seen a lot of small bucks, but letting them go and trying to get something bigger. I saw a great picture today, actually, and somebody told me about it. Lisa, one of the ladies that works at the court with me, and she had pictures from the Fowlerville Buck Bowl, which is a big thing. And they got some monsters this year. I think that was Monday night they had that, and I couldn't make it that night. I had something else going, but she had some pictures out there. They had a picture of a little boy, and he was probably about 8 or something like that. Maybe he was 10. And he had shot a fork horn, and they brought that fork horn up, and he had in the back of his dad's truck amongst all those giant bucks, and everybody was walking up congratulating that little boy who was just proud as could be of that buck. And it was just a really, really cool picture. That's something you really only see amongst hunters, and it's a really, really neat thing to see. And that kid was just having a ball with
awesome.
With that deer he shot. So it's
that's great.
Nice hometown thing to see. Funny, Todd, I always kid too about being a small town country judge, and frankly I love it. You guys asked me what kind of cases I handled. You're a small town country judge when you have a trial, and the issue in the case is the gearbox on a manure spreader. You've hit the big time when that's what the case is about. It was a good one. But it was funny. I got home from South Dakota this year, and I go to Jim Massey's barbershop, little plug for the local barbers. Those guys are all good guys, and I'm walking through the store the other night when I got back from South Dakota to grab some stuff to make some birds, and I was going to make my pheasant parmesan. Anyways, walk through the grocery store, and I see one of the barbers, and he says, "Hey, man, how was your trip to South Dakota?" I go, "It was great. You want some birds?" I got them in the back of my truck because I had some pheasants in there. And he's like, "Yeah." So, again, you're a small-town country judge when you're giving guy pheasants out of the back of your pickup. And I'm very proud of that.
That and handling manure
great.
Spreader cases.
Yeah, exactly.
That pretty much sums it up right there.
That's it, so.
Speaking of not spreading any manure, we've got to take one more break on the Todd L. Show, but we'll be right back.
Come on, Craig.
It is impossible for a decerebrated individual to experience pain, pleasure, memory, dreams, or thought of any kind. This young man will be as unfeeling, as unthinking as the dead until the day he joins them.
I don't know whether I'm alive or dreaming or
dead and remembering. How can you tell what's a dream and what's real when you can't even tell when you're awake and when you're asleep? Where am
I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or a dream. Deep down inside I feel the scream. This terrible silence stops in there. Now that the war is through with me, I'm waking up, I cannot see that there's not much left of me. Nothing is real but pain now. Hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh please God, wake me.
I just went ahead and chopped off everything. Oh God, please make them hear me. They won't listen. They won't hear me. Wake me up, I'll be like this for years. Hear me.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Wrapping it up, Craig, with the Honorable Judge Bain. Hey, Judge Bain, just briefly, who are the other judges that sit in the court? I mean, there's circuit court, district court, probate court. Who are some of the other judges? I know Judge Hattie,
in our district,
Murphy.
So, again, so Judge Murphy's with me in the district court. So there's 2 district court judges, and we have 3 circuit court judges. So we have Judge Hattie, Judge McGivney, and Judge Geddes. And then our probate court judge is Judge Miriam Kavanaugh. Yeah, Judge Kavanaugh had a real nice thing Thanksgiving week, Adoption Day. So in the probate court, they do adoptions, and we see so much bad stuff in the court system. But Judge Kavanaugh was fortunate enough. I think Justice Zara came down for her adoption day, and she performed. Put the seal on or put the rubber stamp on. I think it was 5 different families that were able to adopt children. I think it was out of foster care. So
that's such a great thing.
Yeah,
to do.
It's always a great day. She was just feeling like I couldn't be down to it. I had a bunch of stuff going on that morning, but the other judges were able to attend, and just a great feel good moment and tribute to her and all her hard work putting families back together and trying to do the right thing. Because again, as you know, Todd, we see so much. So much crazy stuff. I had a jury trial a few weeks ago, and it was fun. We were back talking to a jury, and it was a child abuse case, and it was one of our pre or post COVID trials. So we had a jury, and we were talking to them, and they weren't out very long. But there was a gentleman on the jury, and I thought he'd be made foreman, and he was made foreman. It turned out he worked for the Department of Health and Human Services.
Oh.
So when in the child division, and this was like a child abuse case. Anyway, so when they went back, they made this gentleman foreman, which I thought they would. And we're back talking to him. And when they originally walked into the jury room, our juries only have 6 people on them, so it was 5-1 to convict. And the one lone holdout was the gentleman that worked for the Department of Human Services. So the jury talked to him, and it didn't take very long. They said, no, we really think the guy violated the law. And he came around. But anyways, we're talking to jury afterwards, and he brought it up. He goes, I was a lone holdout. I go, what do you work for the Department of Health and Human Services, right? Yeah. And I go, and you knew that the law was violated technically, but in the big stream of things, it just wasn't that bad. And he says, you know what? That's exactly what it was. But these people convinced me that, still was breaking the law. And I looked at the jury. I said, ladies and gentlemen, you guys don't understand it. But the stuff that me and this gentleman see on a daily basis is just, some of it's so crazy, so outrageous that what we think is bad and what you think is bad is, 2 different things. Because, we'll go home at night, Todd, you know how it is. You'll be talking with your wife about a case you had that day, and she'll think it's horrible, and you'll think it's a Tuesday. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just that way. It's just, and it's your perspective.
Yep. Absolutely.
Most people just don't understand, honestly, what is really going on out there. And keep in mind, we're in Livingston County. In the big stream of things, it's pretty tame. It's not, like being
not Wayne County.
Yeah, it's not Wayne.
Detroit.
It's not Oakland. It's not the other places or other big cities around the country. But we still got a lot of bad stuff happening. We try to deal with the best we can.
You do a great job, Judge Bain.
Yep, that's all you can do.
It's all you can do.
I'm not just saying it. You do a great job. Livingston County is lucky to have you. I said earlier in the show.
Well, no, I appreciate it. But yeah, and then we just seeing so much more meth and the fentanyl, with everybody, and people just it's everywhere. And
that's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's really, really dangerous. So.
We got to wrap the show up, Todd. The show is over.
Oh, wow.
Appreciate you coming in, Danny Bain.
I appreciate you gentlemen
Judge
having me. It's
Bain.
always a great time.
Much love to you and family. Say hi to Lisa and the kids and everyone, and all the judges, everybody in Livingston County. And happy post-Thanksgiving Day to everyone, Dan Bain, Judge Bain. Any shout-outs real quick, Judge Bain?
Yeah, you know what? No, I just happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody enjoyed the Lions game as always, and we'll leave it
Go
at that.
Blue. Yeah, and we'll have you back on here in the next couple of months. Craig, happy post-Thanksgiving Day to you, Craig.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate that.
I'll get in trouble at home, Todd, if I don't give it Go Green in response to that Go Blue. I won't get in the house if I let that go. I assure you.
I love it. Much love to my dear friend, the Honorable Judge Bain. We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Craig, take us out with Judge Bain and yours truly's favorite one, Metallica.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush. Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant. Clear Vision Windows, Siding, and Roofing, now booking in Central and Northern Michigan. And attorney Todd L. Levitt, not just a litigator, he's an advocator.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.